Welcome to the AEN Stories channel.
I turned 45 the summer I learned that a family trip can be a mirror you're afraid to look into. I'd spent a year saving for it, overtime shifts, saying no to takeout, a spreadsheet that had its own tab for unexpected, which was a joke the universe would later enjoy. The plan was simple and wholesome enough to sell on a postcard: a week at the beach, the four of us, sand in the car, boardwalk fries, a rental house with a bunk bed Emma would try to claim even though she's 11 and thinks she's 20. Tyler had already circled the dates in the kitchen calendar and drawn a wave in blue Sharpie big enough to flood the bills. I manage a medical supply warehouse, pallets of saline, cases of gloves, those little sharps containers that make danger seem contained. It's not glamorous, but it pays, and there's a satisfaction to moving something that ends up helping a person you'll never meet. Melissa works in marketing for a regional outdoor apparel company. She's the kind of person who makes a fleece sound like freedom. We've been married 17 years. We have 2 kids, Tyler, 15, shoulders arriving ahead of the rest of him, and Emma, 11, whose default setting is glitter. I picked the beach house in January, when the world is gray and hope feels like a coupon. I rented boards online, found a seafood place that didn't require a second mortgage, bought a collapsible wagon that lives to be dragged over sand. I printed a packing list. We were going to be that family, the one that arrives prepared and leaves sunburned and closer. 4 days before the trip, Melissa said she couldn't go. She told me at the kitchen counter, a place where most of our negotiations happen because it's where you can lean and pretend your posture is casual. It's work, she said, apologetic but brisk, like a doctor delivering a diagnosis with a hand on your shoulder. We've got this crazy lunch. My boss is out. It's all hands. You told them months ago we were going, I said, because I keep a file cabinet in my head and it includes her email to HR. I know, she said, rubbing her temples. They moved stuff. It's a mess. I'll fly out for the last 2 days if I can. I promise. Tyler came in then, backpack half-zipped, headphones around his neck, and asked if his soccer cleats were in the dryer. Emma wanted to know if we could buy a beach umbrella that matched her swimsuit, like the ocean cared about coordination. I didn't tell them anything. I said we would talk later. Later became dinner and then bedtime and then the next morning in the car, when Melissa said, "Tell them." In a soft voice like a rehearsal. Tyler didn't take it well. "Wait," he said, as if the word could rewind time. "You're not coming?" "I can't," she said. "I'm sorry, buddy. It's work. I'll meet you there if I can." "So we're going without you," he said, flat as a road. Just for a couple days, she lied or hoped. I loved her for trying to make it sound temporary. I resented her for needing to. Emma's eyes filled in a way she would deny later. "We're a family," she said, which is the kind of sentence kids use like a spell. "We are," Melissa said quickly. "This doesn't change that." Tyler stared out the window like he could see a different version of our house where a different mother made a different choice. He didn't argue. He didn't have to. The argument was already up on blocks in the driveway. We left on a Saturday morning with the kind of organized chaos that feels like a rite of passage: coolers, an argument about who forgot to put ice in the coolers, me, sunscreen in a gallon pump because I refused to buy the expensive little bottles, a playlist Emma curated that swung violently between old pop and new pop and something that sounded like an algorithm having a stroke. Melissa stood on the porch with her coffee and kissed each of us like we were ships. "Send me pictures," she said. "Lots." I told her we would. I meant it. The drive was 4 hours and a half because traffic lives to humble optimism. Tyler handled the aux cord and forced me to admit some new songs were better than anything from my decade. Emma took pictures of every billboard that had an animal on it. We made it to the rental by mid-afternoon, surfboard stacked by the door, the ocean doing the thing it does, breathing and reminding you that your pulse is not the only rhythm in the world. I didn't text Melissa right away. I thought I'd sent her a tableau when we had won, kids knee-deep, me pretending the cold water isn't cold, that kind of thing. We went down to the beach, set up camp with the umbrella Emma had and the attitude Tyler didn't. I taught Emma to find the part of the wave that once you and Tyler pretended he didn't want instruction and then took it anyway. It was stupidly beautiful. I took a photo that looked like a postcard and sent it to Melissa with a heart, which is not my usual punctuation, and typed, "Wish you were here," which is not my usual sentiment via text. Her reply came fast, "Me too. Call tonight?" I said yes. I was busy proving I could do a vacation without her and hated that I had to. On our second day, we ran into Sarah. Sarah is one of Melissa's closest friends, the kind of person who knows your coffee order and the order of your last 5 bad ideas. She's married to Tom, who manages a tire shop and looks like someone designed him to be a stepdad in a show you watch when you miss your own father. They have 2 kids younger than ours and the kind of energy you can only have if you still believe in naps. We were on the boardwalk, the kids debating funnel cake versus shaved ice like they were defending closing statements, when I heard, "Robert?" I turned, and there was Sarah, pushing a stroller that had evolved into a one-wheeled SUV. She did that face people do when they're rearranging the furniture of their assumptions to fit new facts. "Hey!" she said, bright. "Is Melissa?" "At work," I said, and felt the way my chest disagreed with my voice. "Last-minute emergency. She might fly in later." "Oh," Sarah said, and then smiled in a way that felt like a kindness. "Well, lucky us. We're here all week too. Tom's got the grill at our rental dialed in like a religion. Come by." "Yeah," I said, relieved at the easy plan. We ran into them again that afternoon near the dunes, the way people do at beaches when there are only so many places to be. The kids bonded over the universal language of throwing wet sand at cousins you've just met. Sarah asked how long we were staying. I told her the dates. "Great," she said. "We'll be here the whole time too. I thought you all were doing this together." "We were supposed to," I said. "Work?" She nodded. "We heard you were going to the mountains with Melissa," she said casually, conversationally, like an aside. I mean, she corrected herself in the next breath like I had frowned. Tom thought Melissa had said, "Well," I told him it must have been the beach. I told him maybe she meant she was flying into the mountains later with a colleague? You know how she gets when she's excited about new product stuff. I felt my internal filing cabinet open, and something fall from a drawer. "The mountains?" I said, like I was trying the word on to see if it fit. "With a colleague." Sarah flushed the way people do when they realize they've kicked a door they didn't know was locked. "Oh, God. I shouldn't have said that like that." She held up a hand. "I'm sure I misunderstood." "It's fine," I lied. "She's slammed at work." Emma came over then with a starfish in her hands and rescued both of us from the part of the conversation where everything gets sharp. I told Sarah we'd come by for the grill situation. She nodded too quickly. We let the tide wash our ankles and pretended the water was enough information. That night I called Melissa after the kids went to bed. The rental house was quiet in a way that felt like a waiting room. "Hey," she said. I could hear the clack of her keyboard. She always types like she's trying to outpace a problem. "How's it going?" I asked. "Long," she said. "I might fly out Wednesday." She paused. "How are the kids?" "Sunburned and asleep," I said. "Emma's convinced the ocean is trying to talk to her." "Tell her to listen," Melissa said, and for a second she sounded like the woman I married, soft, amused, on my side. I was going to mention Sarah's comment. I didn't. I had no appetite for the conversation where I ask a question I think I know the answer to and watch it make a mess of the kitchen table. On Wednesday morning, Melissa texted that she wasn't going to make it. Client delayed. "I'm dying," a phrase I know means she's living in the adrenaline she claims to hate and actually loves. I stared at the screen long enough for it to go dark and show me my own face reflected back. Tyler said he wasn't hungry. Emma asked if we could go to the Shell shop again because she had a coupon that wasn't a coupon. We went to the beach because there's a limit to the number of things you can fix with thoughts. On Thursday, I took the kids out for pancakes and a truce. Sarah and Tom were there too. The kids fell into conversation like they had practiced. Tom asked me about the warehouse because men have to talk about their jobs before they can talk about the things their jobs do to their homes. "Rough week?" he asked. "Like sandpaper," I said. Sarah kept glancing at me and then at her plate like the syrup might offer counsel. Finally, When the kids went to refill the syrup from the dispenser that looks like an oil can, she leaned in. "Robert, I feel weird," she said. "I think I stuck my foot in it the other day." "You didn't," I said. I was tired of pretending we were in a sitcom where misunderstandings are solved in 22 minutes. She took a breath. "I thought Melissa had said you all were going one place and then she said something about a team hike. I assumed she was going with a colleague. I thought you were meeting later. That's what I meant the other day." It was probably me being a terrible listener. "Who's the colleague?" I asked before I could tell myself not to be that guy. "I don't know," Sarah said quickly. "I mean, I know names at the company, but I don't know who's in which team. It could be anyone." "Robert," she reached across the table like she could pull me back onto the ship. "She loves you." "People love a lot of things," I said, and sounded like a man who should be sitting at a bar in a movie. I picked up my coffee like it had answers. We drove home a day later with sand in the car and a silence that wasn't restful. Tyler slept with his hoodie over his face. Emma sang to the radio and told me 3 different times that she hoped the ocean missed us. I didn't call Melissa. I didn't trust my voice to pick the right words out of the basket. At the house, the mail was stacked neatly. There was a receipt from a gear store in a mountain town 3 hours west. There were 2 hotel charges in a city nowhere near any ocean. My chest did the thing where it tries to become a box and fails. I didn't wait for a quiet moment. I decided to manufacture one. I texted Melissa's parents and Sarah and Tom and said, "Dinner Sunday. Our house. Family thing. 6 p.m." Melissa texted, "What's this?" I wrote back, "A conversation we should have with witnesses," and immediately regretted the lawyer tone. She wrote, "Don't be dramatic." I wrote, "Don't be late." I am not a man who likes spectacle. I am a man who has spent a year planning a beach trip and 3 days sitting with the feeling that my family is a house I painted while the foundation cracked. I set the table. I put the receipts in a folder like civility. Tyler asked if he had to stay. I told him he didn't, but I hoped he would. Emma asked if we were celebrating something and I told her we were celebrating the truth. She asked if there would be cake. I said no. She looked disappointed like a child who understands metaphor in theory and hates it in practice. People arrived with the noises they always bring: Sarah's laugh, Tom's shoes, Melissa's mother's voice, Melissa's father's quiet, the kids presenting their weekend-like offerings. Melissa came last, shoulders tight, hair in the ponytail she uses for jogging and work emergencies and fights. She kissed Emma's head and Tyler's shoulder and me on the cheek with lips that felt like business. We ate 3 bites of salad because decorum insists. Then I stood. "I took the kids to the beach," I said. "We saw Sarah and Tom. They were surprised. They thought Melissa was with us." "Melissa, you said you were at work." I put the folder on the table. I found receipts. Hotels. Gear store. "You were in the mountains." Melissa didn't look at the folder. "Robert," she said in a tone that suggested I was the one making a mess of this. "I had a work thing." "With a colleague?" I asked. "Male? Female? Does the pronoun fix it?" Her mother made a sound like a tea kettle turning itself off. "We do not need to do this at the dinner table," she said, but what she meant was we do not need to do this where the people we've been performing for can see us without our costumes. "Mom," Melissa said, not unkindly. She took a breath. She looked at our kids, then at me. She put her hands flat on the table the way you do when the room is moving and you want to feel connected to something that isn't. "It started as work," she said. "It didn't stay work. I told myself it was nothing. I told myself I deserved something. I told myself it would pass. I was wrong." Her mother reached for her hand. "You don't have to." "Mom," Melissa said again, a small cut. "Stop." Her father looked at me. He has the face of a man who has been angry in his life and learned how not to live there. "Robert," he said quietly. "I'm sorry." He turned to Tyler and Emma. "I'm sorry," he said again, and my son's jaw clenched in a way that looked older than 15. Tyler spoke then, voice even and sharp. "You missed the trip," he said to his mother. "You said work. It wasn't work. That's not a work receipt." He flicked his eyes toward the folder I hadn't opened. "We took pictures so you'd see what you missed. You already knew." Emma said nothing. She slid her hand into mine under the table the way she did when she was 4 in dark movie theaters. "I ended it," Melissa said, which is the sentence people reach for when they want to build a bridge over a crater. "It's over." "How long?" I asked, because my brain needed numbers even if my heart didn't. "A few months," she said. "Not a year." "Who?" I asked. I wanted a face. Justice and rage both prefer faces. "It doesn't matter," her mother snapped, like a reflex. "He doesn't need to know that." "It matters to me," I said without raising my voice. "It matters if he's in the pictures on your phone. It matters if Emma sees him in the grocery store. It matters if Tyler has to shake his hand at a game." Melissa closed her eyes. "He's not in our circle," she said. "He's in product. She shook her head. "It's done." Sarah looked like she wanted to fall into the floor. "I'm sorry," she said to me, to us. "I should have kept my mouth shut at the beach." "No," I said, surprising myself. "I'm glad you tripped over it. Secrets strip people. That's what they're for." Melissa's mother pulled herself up in her chair with a dignity that had knives in it. "This is between a wife and a husband," she said. "Children should not be dragged into adult mistakes." Tyler leaned forward. "I'm already in it," he said. "You dragged me when you lied." Her mother's eyes flashed. "How dare? How dare you?" Melissa's father said to his wife, not loud, not theatrical, just a redirect. "He's right." He turned to Melissa. "You hurt them," he said. "You hurt him." He nodded toward me. He did not say more. He did not need to. We didn't make it to dessert. The kids went upstairs, Emma with her blanket and the cat in a fortress of stuffed animals. Tyler went to his desk and sat like a soldier waiting to be told which city he would be sent to. Melissa's parents left in separate cars, which they never do. Sarah cried and then apologized for crying, and then Tom steered her out with a hand on her back like a pilot guiding a plane through fog. In the quiet that came after the door closed, Melissa and I sat at the kitchen table and looked at the mess like two people hired to clean someone else's disaster. "I'm sorry," she said. This time it was not a sentence with punctuation, it was a thing leaking out of a person who had been holding all the valves. "I know," I said, which is not forgiveness but is also not a door slamming. "We made rules because rules give the illusion of traction. Counseling starts Tuesday, no more trips that aren't family trips. If a work trip happens it comes with hotel addresses and names up front, all passwords shared until trust becomes a thing we can name without laughing or crying. We agreed that the kids would not be asked to keep any secrets. We agreed that the beach had counted and also had not." Tyler did not speak to Melissa for 3 days. On the 4th he asked her to pass the salt. On the 5th he sat at the far end of the couch while Emma watched a cooking show and made sarcastic comments, and when Melissa laughed at one, he didn't leave the room. Emma texted Melissa a TikTok about a dog with sunglasses and a caption that said "fine I guess." We took both as small treaties that might last long enough to negotiate bigger ones. Counseling is fluorescent lights and a woman in a cardigan who tells you to use I statements like you're learning to say your own name. Melissa said she felt invisible and then said that was a cop-out and she just wanted to feel something loud and stupid. I said I felt like an idiot and then said I also felt like a man who wanted to be loved in the way you drive a reliable car, no surprises, just miles. The counselor told us to list 3 times a week we felt like teammates. We started with splitting the Costco list without a fight and getting Emma to her orthodontist appointment on time. We high-fived like clowns. It helped. Melissa's father came by on Saturday with a toolbox and fixed a cabinet door that's been catching forever. He told me a story about a mistake he made when he was 20 and how his father didn't speak to him for a month and how he still hears the silence when he tries to sleep. He put a hand on my shoulder. "You tell me what you need," he said. "You tell me if you want me to say it to her." I told him I'd let him know. He nodded. He brought Emma a little wind chime for the porch. She hung it herself and made it ring until the cat hid under the couch. Melissa's mother sent a text that said, "Family should protect family." I didn't answer. Later she sent another that said, "I'm trying." I wrote back, "So am I." It wasn't a bridge. It wasn't a wall. I told the kids the truth without the parts they don't need. Their mother made a mistake with someone from work. It hurt me, it hurt them. We're working on it, none of it is their fault. Emma asked if we were getting divorced with the mechanical anxiety of a child who has seen other houses fall apart. I said I didn't know. Tyler asked if the beach gets a do-over. I said I hoped so. He didn't roll his eyes. He said, "Me too." A week later, Sarah and Tom invited us for burgers. We went because saying no to people who want to feed you is a way of saying yes to isolation. Sarah apologized again at the door and then again when she handed me a beer and I told her to cut it out. "You're not the villain," I said. "We built this ourselves." She nodded and then left when Emma asked if their grill had a name. "We call him Hank," Tom said. "Hank the Tank." For an hour we were just 4 adults and kids with ketchup and smoke and a sprinkler. It felt like cheating on despair. We still haven't decided the end of the story. Some nights Melissa sleeps in our bed and some nights she doesn't. Some nights Tyler texts me from upstairs, "You good?" And I text back-ish, and he sends a thumbs up that means I see you. Emma asks if we can go back to the beach next summer and then says maybe the mountains so Mom can't be confused. We laugh in the kitchen and then cry in the same room and then pack lunches because mornings still exist no matter what you confess at dinner. I think about the ocean a lot. The way it keeps showing up no matter who's watching. The way it erases footprints and then writes new ones and then erases those. The way it tells the truth by repeating itself. When I can't sleep, I close my eyes and hear the tide. It doesn't heal me. It makes my hurt feel less personal, like I'm participating in something old. On a Sunday afternoon, I took Tyler to the field and we ran drills until our legs complained. He told me a joke about his history teacher. He told me a story about a kid on his team who lies about everything, their word for him, the mercy they try to show him. "We still pass him the ball," he said. "Otherwise what's the point of the team?" I nodded. I told him he could drive home. He didn't scare me the way he used to when everything was new. That felt like progress. Back at the house, Emma had hung a paper banner that said "Beach, Take 2" in marker. Melissa stood under it with a look that was half apology, half hope. "I know we can't go back," she said, "but maybe we can go forward to something that isn't just after." "I don't know what it is yet," I said. "Me neither," she said. Tyler walked between us and flicked the banner so it waved like a flag. "We still going to the lake with Grandpa next month?" he asked. I said yes because I can say yes to water, to a dock, to the kind of day where men stop talking long enough to pass a sandwich and a story. That night I opened the drawer where we keep the trip folder and pulled out the printout of the beach rental. I put it back. I took a pen and wrote on a sticky note, Plan B, Lighthouse. It's the name of a campground 2 hours north. It has a little shore and a big sky and a rental shack with kayaks that look like Skittles. I stuck the note to the fridge. The kids cheered like I'd announced ice cream. Melissa put her palm on the note and pressed like she was checking for a fever. I'm not pretending this is a redemption arc. It's a map with water stains. I know the places where the paper will tear if I fold it wrong. But I also know Tyler's laugh when a ball hits the crossbar just right. I know the way Emma says Dad when she wants me to watch her do something that scares her a little. I know Melissa's face when she chooses us and not the idea of herself that looks good in a photo. The other day, Emma asked if the ocean misses people or just keeps going. I told her both. That's the closest thing to an answer I have for anything right now. We are missed. We keep going. We look for a shoreline that looks like forgiveness and put our chairs there, even if it's only for an afternoon before the water reminds us that tides exist. And when we pack up, we do it together, stubborn as mules, tired as parents, hopeful as children on a porch watching the light change and believing, for the length of a sunset, that tomorrow looks like a beach with our footprints already there. Thank you for listening my story. If you want more raw, real, and gripping stories like this one, subscribe to the AEN Stories channel. Your support keeps these stories alive.